before that you have to be medayik in all the words and pronounce them properly, and where there's two letters that match each other, you be careful. He said, what's the din if someone, after learning Samach Aleph, is still not medayik in all the things that we learned about?
Unless he was absent that day.
So he says, Apa Pisha Tzarech L'Dagdik B'Oisi Yaseho. As we went before, you have to be medayik and everything. Of a Korav L'Digdok is the din, L'Digdok V'hem is Yotza. Okay. Now he says, Yachol L'Kraiso B'Chol Lashon. You can say Krishma in English and in any language that you want. Shenama state Shema, and B'Chol Lashon Shat L'Shemeya V'Yizoyer Midivrei Shibush. In other words, it means like from a wrong interpretation. There's this, you can say by. Give us. We'll still see in about examples. When you daven in Lashon Kodesh, like I give an example. If you take the word Vishinamtum, Vishinamtum has different translations. Vishinamtum could mean from Lashon Shina, Shein, learning. Vishinamtum could be sharp, you know. So when you say the Lashon in Lashon Kodesh, all the pshatim are included. But when you say it in English, you're already limiting other lashonos. So he's saying that you have to make sure that the translation is the proper translation. Sometimes people printed a translation and there's a mistake in it. So they're saying that you should be careful. Midivrei shibush sheba'oser lashon. They may translate it a certain way, and that word means something else. V'yadagder ba'oser yosef k'moy b'lashon hakodesh. In other words, let's say there's things that's Lashon Yochid, Lashon Rabim. So sometimes in what do you call it? In Hebrew, there's a Lashon Noichach and a Lashon Nista. You can say Ata, or you can say Who. In English, for example, there's no such thing as everything is you. There's no third person in English. So that's what he's saying. You have to be careful that the translation should concur with the proper way. Another thing is Shemevin Haloshin. In other words, like I said before, if someone picks up a siddur and reads siddur and doesn't understand the word what he's saying,
if it's in Hebrew,
so he's yaitzer. But in any
French,
other language, you have to know what you're saying. V'hu adin v'tfilah for menegayet davening u'birchas hamazon menegayet benching. Aval, he says kiddush u'birchas hamitzvos. Kiddush or bir mitzvah. If you're making a bracha on the tilas lulav, over there, the halal, or if you're saying halal, so yaitzer afilu eina mevin aloshin. He's yaitzer afilu if he doesn't understand the lashon.
so a guy gets an aliyah in a shul, he doesn't know what the bracha is, it's okay if he says it in Hebrew.
So,
wait, you said what language you speak?
If you say it in Hebrew,
Is it in Hebrew?
yeah, then you yaitz any way you do it, even though you don't know what to do. You bring a guy, you give him an aliyah, he doesn't know what the bracha means.
Right.
It's a bracha mitzvah.
Even though it's
But he doesn't
not
understand.
top.
Right. But if he said it in English, then he has to know exactly what he's saying. He can't read English if he doesn't speak English.
So I'd like to read. There's I don't have copies to give. I tried to make a copy, but the print is too small. There's a very interesting dinim in the Mishnah Brura. The Mishnah Brura wrote his Pedish Mishnah Brura, and there's also Biur Halacha. So there's interesting things. For example, we'll see it in the Viv. I'll give you an example. The Biur Halacha asks Kleta Shaila. Here's what Moshe will say: if someone knows Chinese in Brooklyn, someone knows Chinese, could he say Krishna in Chinese? He's saying B'chol Loshen. English is no question. Could he say in Chinese? What's the shaila? The shaila is that in every language means that it's a language in the community. But if it's a language that you know and no one else knows it here, it's not considered a language. And
That means that if you're in a place in France and you want to speak and you want to say it in French, everybody understands the language.
yeah,
So you can speak French.
and he brings a raya. The raya is by Kiddushin. By Kiddushin we say Harei Mekudeshesli. But there's certain Lashonis, if you said other Lashonis that also mean Kiddushin, so it's also Mekudeshes. But the Moshe brings up here Charufosi. So the Gemara says, Shekaim Yehuda, they call Kedushin this Russian. So if someone said to a woman or Moshe in this language, that's the language that they talk over there. So that's considered the Chol Russian. But someone, if they don't talk that language over there, it wouldn't mean anything. That's what's it. But I'll read a little bit. You'll follow me, okay? But first there's a Mishnah Brura here on B'chol Loshen. He says, Davke Shemevim Ba'isa HaLoshen, V'hu Adin B'tfila U'Birchas HaMozen U'B'Kiddush U'Brachas HaMitzvahs V'Apeiris V'Halal. And then he says, V'kol Zeh Misad Hadin Avul HaMitzvah Min HaMufcha U'Davke B'Loshen HaKodesh.
Even if he doesn't understand.
Right. Kosev Habach V'ayim V'Sifra Achroinu Debi Yomeinu Af Mitzad Adin Yesh Rizoher Shaloi L'Kroiso B'Loshen Acha. I mean, even though over there was a popular language that they spoke over there in Europe. Ki im B'Loshen HaKodesh Ki yesh kama v'kama tevis. There are many words. She'ein on the yodim eich lahatikum hativ. We don't know how to translate them. Kagain tevis v'shinamtum. Yesh bo kama biurim. Echad lashon limud, be'echad lashon chidud. Sharp. K'mo shomer Chazal. She'yir divi Torah chadudim b'fichom. She'im yishocha adam dover al tegam ken v'toimere. The Gemara says it when they get to v'shinamto. V'chein kama v'kama tevis she'b'krishma she'eino al neyodim heitev bi'urei al lashon acha, how to translate into another language. K'goin teva v'as tevis g'tei tofes. How do you translate g'tei tofes? Ukadaima. Abu Kashona Kaidim Shema B'Loshen HaKodesh V'chein Tefillah U'Brachos Birchas HaMozen V'Kiddush U'Shah Brachos Afilu Im Eina Meiben HaLoshen Yotza D'zeh Eina Mosul Sheben Yisrael V'Yeda B'Ir HaPosuk Rishon Sheb'Krishma. Over there you have to say, we have to have Kavanah by the first Posuk. See, everyone knows what Shema Yisrael means, he's saying. Shakavana boy Yikuva over there. Okay, that's what the Mishnah Brura says. Now we'll go to the Biur Halacha. He says over here, talks the same thing, but then How do you see it? Now, over here it said what I told you before. B'da oid, and another thing. The nirali, the b'pshitas, the nirali b'pshitas, the oisen dvorim hanemorim b'chal lashon, hu davke im anshe oisa medina medabrim kach. Avol im anshe medina eine medabrim, eine yichayim gedaber ze halashon, like Chinese. Bain who, I can't see the letters here. She'ena Makeres bezu agoshen, the Bishleima b'goshen HaKodesh. I can't do this. Mashe'en kein she'agoshen, eina ke'im mitzad heskem hamedina. You know, the Goshen Kodesh is the Torah accepted that language, but over here people made up a language. V'kiva she'ein anshe medina zu makirim b'Goshen zeh le'nikra Goshen Kol. It's not called a language. V'raya v'davim v'raya v'dvori mikidushin ha'ayma charufasi. What's this one? Yehuda is Mekudeshes. Shekain Yehuda Kaiden Lecharuf or Shifcha Charufa Avo B'Sham Kaimus Eina Mekudeshes Afsher. Can't read the words. Gabi Kedushin, Kedushin b'chol mokum, Kivan ein Goshen zeh Goshen Kedushin b'oisei mokum. I can't read these words. It's very, very small print. Maybe someone could read it.
My hand isn't better than yours.
But that's it's an interesting chiddush. So if someone, the marshal, came from China to
the shaila is different. The shaila is if I go to France.
No, the shaila is if someone came, a Chinese person that came to New York.
Right.
Could he say Shema Yisrael in Chinese?
Right.
So according to him, he can't, because here it's not, there's no such language as Chinese.
Mm-hmm. Even though that's his language.
Even that it's his language, but it's not. It has to be the language of the Medina.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Because that's how it was with Yehuda over there. They used to use that lashon.
Right.
So I don't know. So most people in Ukrainians don't know Russian.
Huh?
Most people in Ukrainians don't know Russian.
But if you go to the Russian shul, you can do it in Russian. Because the people in Russian shul.
I'm talking about a language that's not popular in our community.
Most people do.
Russian today.
It is popular.
Today, there's a lot of people who speak Russian in Crown Heights. I daven in free. All the people that
They don't speak English.
I never understand the word what they're talking about.
They don't speak English.
Yeah.
The shaila, if you let us say it in English over there, because everyone's Russian over there.
Like someone once said that I understand every language except Greek. So someone said something to him in Hebrew. What does it mean? He says it sounds like Greek to me. Okay, it's an interesting chiddush of the Mishnah Berurah.
Yeah, okay.
He says it as his chiddush. Okay, let's see. Tzorach lishoma hashmiya la'oznov masha moitzi mipi. In other words, you have to say verbally. You have to hear what you're saying. Shenema shema. And shema means hear. So hashma la'oznocha. Let your ears hear what it is. Ve'im lo yishmiya l'oznai is also the din is yaitze, yaitze. Aber bavad sheyaitze b'sfosov. That means to say, if you say it, if you're whispering, it's okay. If you're just looking at it and not saying anything, So,
אבל הם קוראים
No,
בליבי,
Aval and Kara Belibai, he just looked at it, Vayosa, Shahiru Aina Kadiba. Umikomakam, Imhu honest, if he's an honest, Sha'aina Yakal Haitzi Bisfasa, Kagain. Sha'aina Mokam Naki, so he can't say different title there. The Indian Sha'aina Yakal Haitzi Bisfasa, Sha'aina Mokam Gamri is not very clean. Is Yesh Lagahara, over there, you could say it b'machshava. V'af api she'ena yotze yedei chayva elo
Amira. Ba'amira.
b'amira
Yes, there are libi.
yesh loy v'hara b'liba v'Hashem yira l'bavay they b'shul see it they say v'yidno eschar ha'machshava the Amra,
The Amira.
huh?
Yeah.
No, the Amri Raminan Hachi b'Medesh. There's a pasuk, Imri Hazina Hashem. Right, my words, God hear it. Amma David said, Ribono shel Olam, b'shah shani yachal l'daber, Imri Hazina. Listen to what I'm saying when I can speak. When I can't speak, is Dina Hagigi, understand my expressions. Hagigi, what does Hagigi mean? Ratzulaima Hamachshava. Hagigi means Hashava. She'im Hoyiratzulaima Dibur Afilu L'Basar Ein Laima Bina. You don't say to someone, understand, you say hear. So here is when there's an expression, when you're saying something. Bina bina b'daber sheshemeya. Ela mitech she'ein ela machshava. Since it's only machshava, hagigi is machshava. He says lashon bina, and he brings an ayah from a pasuk. V'chein nira.
Pasuk shenevar.
V'chein nira.
May a pasuk
May a
she'amar.
pasuk. This print of it's not very good. May a pasuk she'amar. It brings a pasuk. The pasuk is v'hagigi tiva eish dibati b'shayni. So he says two things over here. V'hagigi, the David is talking about his tefillas Hashem. He says v'hagigi tiva eish, a hot fire burn. It's like a burning fire. So he says hagigi, and he says Dibalti b'shayni. The mashma shadiba dover acha and ramachshava dover acha is two separate things. So you see that hagigi means machshava.
So it's saying the Shema Yisrael, you should listen to your own ears. Shema Yisrael is your own ears.
What?
The Shema Yisrael, you need to listen to your own ears. Yeah.
Right? That you have to hear what you're saying.
Ein Tate wird nicht gemacht, dass da Balagan. Wollte, einmal fahren. I'm showing video already. Dein Tate wird gewinnt, aber